So in today's lecture, we will be talking about hemopoiesis, right, which is also called as hematopoiesis. Now, what is hemopoiesis or what is hematopoiesis that we need to know? Hematopoiesis or hemopoiesis is referred to as the formation of cellular components of blood. Okay, so it is not at all the formation of blood. That is to be kept in mind. Okay, in certain textbooks I have found it written that they just write hemopoiesis is the formation of blood. No, it is absolutely wrong. Hemopoiesis is just the formation of cellular components of blood. If you guys remember in the first lecture when we talked about the composition of blood, we talked that it is made up of 45% of formed elements and 55% of plasma. So that 45% of formed elements, the formation of those 45% of formed elements is talked about in this hemopoiesis. Okay, so accordingly a definition is given to this, that it is the formation of, or it refers to the formation of cellular components of blood, or simply you can write it as it refers to the formation of blood cells or the cellular components of blood, right? Now, what is the need of hemopoiesis? Why do we need hemopoiesis? So, in order to explain this, we first need to know that in our body, every cell, it is having a lifespan, right? Not every cell, but most of the cells, they are having a lifespan. They are not immortal cells. And this is applicable to blood cells also. So, we have RBCs in our blood, we have WBCs in our blood, we have platelets also in our blood. And the thing that we are talking about here, that is the cellular components of the blood, it means only these three, right? Now, these three cells, they are basically cells, right? While platelets, they are pseudo cells, they are not true cells, because we will be talking about that later, but for now just remember they are not true cells, they are pseudo cells. So RBCs, WBCs and platelets, they are not immortal, they have a limited lifespan. So the lifespan of RBCs, it is 120 days, that is around 4 months. WBCs, that is 1 to 3 days, right? Or approximately I can write here it is 5 days. Platelets, it is around 7 to 10 days, right? So we can say just more, approximately a week, right? So this is the lifespan, and in RBCs I can write approximately 4 months. Clear? So as you can see that these three cells that are there in the blood, they have a limited lifespan, and these three cells, they are continuously destroyed in our body. Once their lifespan is over, they're continuously destroyed in our body, right? They're continuously destroyed. A very important site that you should be knowing where these cells, they are destroyed, particularly speaking, RBCs are destroyed, that is spleen. In later lectures you are going to know that spleen is also known as the graveyard of RBCs. Okay, so in certain organs like spleen we have talked about, it is the graveyard of RBCs. So what I mean to say is that these cells, they are not immortal, they are having a limited lifespan, and once that lifespan is over, they get destroyed, right? So after their destruction, they should be replaced, right? They should be replaced, because if they are not replaced, let's suppose there were 4 million RBCs, 3 million of RBCs, they have died, right? So the oxygen carrying capacity is drastically fallen, right? The oxygen carrying capacity of the blood has drastically fallen. So how to compensate that? That will be compensated by replacing, right? So new RBC formation will be continued. Okay, so that's why hemopoiesis or hematopoiesis is important. Okay, so in you should always remember that hematopoiesis is only the formation of cellular components of blood. It is not the formation of whole blood, right? We are not concerned about whole of the blood, just the cellular part of the cellular component part of the formed element part of the blood we are talking about. Okay, so once we have discussed hemopoiesis, now we'll move to stages of hemopoiesis. Now we will move to stages of hemopoiesis. Now, before talking about stages of hemopoiesis, I want to talk about a term, right? Now listen to me very carefully. Okay, so we'll just deviate from the topic. Let's first talk about sites of hemopoiesis. Sites of hemopoiesis. Now we know very well that in adults, hemopoiesis or the formation of blood cell, it is occurring in bone marrow, and this bone marrow, it is present in the medullary cavity, right? So adult is a stage, right? In adult stage of hemopoiesis, the site of hemopoiesis is bone marrow. Site basically is the location. So you should not be confused between the site and stages. Okay, we'll be talking about this in very detail. Okay, so first is the site of hemopoiesis. What is the site of hemopoiesis? It is bone marrow in adults. Okay, what about the site of hemopoiesis in embryonic stages? What about the site of hemopoiesis in when the fetus is around 5th month of age? It is in 5th month of pregnancy. When the fetus is around 5th month of pregnancy, what is the site of hemopoiesis? What is the site when the fetus is in 3rd month of pregnancy? So all these things we'll be talking about here in stages of hemopoiesis. Okay, so what I want to say is that at different stages of life, hemopoiesis occurs at different locations. Okay, like in embryonic stage, we'll be just talking about that in the embryonic stages, the hemopoiesis occurs in liver, it occurs in spleen, it occurs in various other sites as well. Okay, so what I want to say is that at different stages of life, hemopoiesis is occurring at different locations. Okay, so location, the synonym for location here is sites. Okay, so can I say that as the stages of hemopoiesis keep on varying, the sites of hemopoiesis also get vary? Okay, or I can say as the different stages of life they are progressing, right? Like we are moving from fetal stage, infant, child, then adult. So accordingly the location of hemopoiesis will vary in our body. Okay, so but one thing is very constant, that is at whatever location hemopoiesis occurs, it will favor the production of blood cells. Like in simple words, if I say, let's suppose hemopoiesis is occurring in, there are three, this is A, this is a beaker, okay, this is a beaker, this is a pot, okay, B, and this on the other hand is a bowl, C. Okay, now just hypothetically speaking, just imagine in all these three hemopoiesis is occurring. Okay, so in all A plus B plus C, hemopoiesis is occurring. Hemopoiesis is occurring, it is present. Okay, the plus and circle is for present. Okay, so A, B and C hemopoiesis is occurring. Now what I want to convey, that in A, if hemopoiesis is occurring, there is the formation of blood cells, right? In B also there is the formation of blood cells. In C also there is the formation of blood cells. Okay, what if I increase the temperature of A? So in A the temperature is increased. Now tell me, will the formation of blood cells take place? No, it will not take place. In B pot, I have decreased the temperature. Temperature is drastically reduced. Now will blood cells form? No, they will not form. Right? And in C, what I have done, I have added certain extra chemicals. Okay, X, Y, Z, any chemical. Will the formation of blood cells occur? No, it will not occur. So what I am trying to say, that at whatever location the hemopoiesis is occurring, there is an environment maintained in that place where hemopoiesis is occurring, at that location where hemopoiesis is occurring, an environment is maintained in such a manner that that environment will favor the production of blood cells. Okay, that means if I come back to previous situation, like let's suppose, okay, in A, B and C I have changed the condition in such a manner that hemopoiesis will not occur. So can I say in A, B and C hemopoiesis cannot occur because of unfavorable conditions? Because the conditions are unfavorable, hemopoiesis will not occur, right? But there is another, let's suppose I have taken Any other thing? Let's suppose I've taken a bucket now. Okay, so just tell me, in this bucket I say hemopoiesis is occurring, blood cell formation is taking place. Okay, I have, because I have not added anything, क्योंकि मैंने इसमें कुछ नहीं डाला, hemopoiesis is occurring, right? So now I will say in D, hemopoiesis is occurring because conditions are favorable, right? So now let's imagine inside our body. Inside our body there are various sites of hemopoiesis. That means in various locations of our body hemopoiesis is going on. One such is bone marrow. So that means in all those locations where hemopoiesis is going on, there is a environment maintained, right? एक ऐसा environment वहां पर बन रखा है जहां जिसकी वजह से blood cells आसानी से वहां पर form हो सकते हैं, right? So in all the locations where hemopoiesis is occurring, I can say an environment is maintained, and environment is maintained in such a manner that it will favor the production of blood cells. And this environment, it is called hematopoietic microenvironment. Okay, so write the definition on your own. I have explained this. Okay, so this is hematopoietic microenvironment. So wherever hemopoiesis is occurring, there is the presence of hematopoietic microenvironment, because without the presence of hematopoietic microenvironment, hemopoiesis cannot take place. Next is, now we finally move to stages of hemopoiesis. So there are 3 stages of hemopoiesis. We have the first stage, mesoblastic stage. Okay, so now first we'll be talking about the mesoblastic stage. Now in mesoblastic stage, the hemopoiesis occurs in, okay, first we should know at what site is hemopoiesis occurring. Okay, so hemopoiesis occurs in yolk sac and non-yolk sac regions of embryo in intrauterine life. Now, what is intrauterine life? The life in which there is the formation of fetus inside the mother's uterus, right? So the part of our life which we are spending in the uterus is intrauterine life, right? And we know that intrauterine life is somewhat around 9 months. It is around 9 months, right? Now we should know, we have talked about that what is the location of hemopoiesis in this mesoblastic stage. This mesoblastic stage, it starts at 2nd week of pregnancy. It starts at the 2nd week of pregnancy, and so this is the starting point, and it ends at around, let's say it ends at around 1 month and 2 weeks. Okay, so in easy language we can say 1.5 months. Okay, now you know at what stage of life, right? You know now at what stage of life hemopoiesis is occurring in the mesoblastic stage. Okay, that is from the 2nd week of pregnancy to 1.5 months of pregnancy. जहाँ hemopoiesis कहाँ पर होगा? In yolk sac and non-yolk sac regions of embryo, right? Now what are these yolk sac and non-yolk sac regions? Do you know what is placenta? Placenta is basically a tissue which is formed inside the uterus, which basically supplies the embryo or the fetus being formed in the uterus with the mother's blood. Okay, because mother is eating food, all the nutrient is in the mother's blood. So mother's के blood में जितना भी nutrient है, that is all supplied to the fetus via this placenta, umbilical artery, umbilical vein, right? Okay. Now in the initial stages of pregnancy, right around 2nd week to, let's suppose 11th to 12th week of pregnancy, there is placenta is not formed. Placenta is not formed. Then how the fetus is going to take nutrition from the mother? It is by this yolk sac, right? So let's suppose if this is the if this is the fetus, right, let's suppose if this is the fetus, this basically yolk sac, non-yolk sac region you must have studied in embryology, that is a part of anatomy. So this is the fetus. Here you can say this is not anatomically accurate diagram, I am just making it so that you can physiologically understand the concept. And here is the mother's blood. Okay, so here mother's blood is flowing. This is a blood vessel. So in this there is mother's blood which is filled with nutrition. So in this nutrition is present. That nutrition will enter this here. So this is yolk sac, right? And then finally to the fetus. Okay. So in this manner the fetus will get the nutrients, right? Now, how in yolk sac hemopoiesis occurs? Basically, in yolk sac, in this yolk sac, here I am drawing, there are certain cells. Right, I am drawing them with red color here. So these cells, right, they are having a very good capability. These cells, they have multi-lineage differentiating capability. These cells, they have multi-lineage differentiating capability. Now, what is the meaning of multi-lineage differentiating capability? Multi-lineage differentiating capability means कि ये जो cells हैं, these cells, when they divide, right, when they divide, basically they are cells of yolk sac, right, but when they divide, when they differentiate, they can form any kind of cell of the body, right, ये कोई भी तरीके का cell बना सकते हैं body का, right, so they form blood cell, right, so they are taking part in hemopoiesis. Now what about this non-yolk sac regions? So when we are talking about non-yolk sac regions, there are basically two non-yolk sac regions. Okay, so in non-yolk sac regions we have two. Okay, you just remember the name, right? There is no need to go into much detail. You must have studied this in your embryology. So non-yolk sac regions, there are two: para-aortic. This is para-aortic and aorta gonad. This is para-aortic splanchnoplura and this is aorta gonad mesonephros. Right? In short, this is known as AGM and it is in short known as PAS. PAS, it is actually PSP. Okay, this is para-aortic splanchnoplura. Okay, so that's why PSP and AGM. Right. So we'll just take a look at what is the mesoblastic stage of hemopoiesis. I told you that hemopoiesis occurs at different locations at different life stages. Right. So first we are talking about intrauterine life. In the second week of pregnancy, from the second week of pregnancy to the 1.5 month, that means the first and few weeks of pregnancy, the first month and few weeks of pregnancy, the hemopoiesis is going to occur in yolk sac and non-yolk sac regions of embryo in the intrauterine life. In yolk sac, how it occurs we have seen. Yolk sac is basically, it is helping to provide nutrition to the fetus in the absence of placenta. Placenta will develop after the 12 to 13 week. Okay, so in the absence of placenta, there has to be someone which has to provide nutrition to the fetus from the mother's blood. So this is the physiologically conceptualized diagram that I have drawn here. So this is the mother's blood. The blood will flow into yolk sac. From the yolk sac, it will enter into the fetus. Okay. So in the yolk sac, we just talked about that there are cells, and these cells, they are having multi-lineage differentiating capability. Multi-lineage means that they can, differentiating means they can, just differentiate into other kind of cells. Multi-lineage, they can differentiate into many kinds of cells. So that is multi-lineage capabilities, that Shanta it is having. Okay. So we have done about the yolk sac region. Now what about the non-yolk sac region? There are two non-yolk sac regions that you should remember at least where hemopoiesis is occurring in the mesoblastic stage. And those non-yolk sac regions, they are para-aortic splanchno pleura, aorta, gonad, meso, nephros. Right? Later on in later stages, we'll also talk about that PSP is going to produce B cells. Okay, that is not to be known at this stage of study. Mesoblastic stage. So, mesoblastic stage starts from, I'm just writing the duration here. Mesoblastic stage starts from second week of pregnancy, and approximately I can say it goes till about 11th week of pregnancy, we can say. Okay. Okay, so let's say it is going up to 11th week of pregnancy, right? So this is around mesoblastic stage. Clear? Now, one thing that we should know is, what about before the second week? So from 0 to second week, who is performing hemopoiesis? So from 0 to second week, there is no hemopoiesis occurring, because if you guys remember that when sperm meets the ovum, they both fertilize, zygote is formed, then morula is formed, then blastula is formed, then there is implantation and other processes which are taking place, right? So they take time, and by the first week of pregnancy, the fetus is not that mature that it can produce its own blood cells. Okay, so basically hemopoiesis starts in the individual's life at second week of pregnancy, right? And from the second week of pregnancy till the first month of pregnancy and certain few weeks of pregnancy, what stage of hemopoiesis is going on? Mesoblastic stage. Okay. So now we have read about the mesoblastic stage. Now we'll further move on to the next stage of hemopoiesis. Now the second stage of hemopoiesis is hepatic hemopoiesis. So the second stage is hepatic stage. Now, again, we'll just talk of site and then the duration, right? So, I'll be just writing it here, site of hemopoiesis. So, the site of hemopoiesis in hepatic stage is, obviously hepatic word is for liver, so hemopoiesis will occur in liver, right? But also in the hepatic stage, hemopoiesis also occurs in spleen. But we are not including spleen in the name of the term, because the hemopoiesis that occurs in spleen is, it is incomprehensible, right? It is of very low frequency, we can say. Okay, it is making a very little contribution. Okay. Then the duration. What is the duration? So, the hemopoiesis, it enters into the hepatic stage at 5th week of pregnancy. So, from 5th week of pregnancy, hemopoiesis starts occurring in the liver. That means hepatic stage of hemopoiesis starts in the 5th week of pregnancy. And from the 5th week of pregnancy, hepatic hemopoiesis, it reaches at its peak in 5th month of pregnancy. It reaches at its peak in 5th month of pregnancy, and finally at birth. That means 9th month, it ceases. Ceases means to stop, right? So this is about hepatic stage of hemopoiesis. What I said, that it occurs in liver and spleen. Okay, what is the duration? It starts at 5th week of pregnancy, right? And it reaches at its peak. So I'm just writing it is the starting point, it is the peak point, and it is the end point, right? So it starts at 5th week of pregnancy, and this 5th week, and at the 5th month of the pregnancy, it reaches at its peak, and at 9th month, that is at the birth, most commonly at birth, it is ended. Okay, so that is hepatic stage of hemopoiesis. Now, one thing that we should remember, that the hepatic stage of hemopoiesis becomes very important. It becomes very important in second trimester of pregnancy. Now, what is the second trimester of pregnancy? We all know that pregnancy is of 9 months. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So what we have done, we have divided those 9 months into the sets of 3 months, like this. This first month, second month, third month of pregnancy, it is known as the first trimester of pregnancy. Fourth month, fifth month, sixth month of pregnancy, it is known as second trimester of pregnancy. and 7th month, 8th month and 9th month, it is known as the third trimester of pregnancy. Okay. Now, why it is very important in second trimester of pregnancy? Just come back to mesoblastic stage. Mesoblastic stage, as I told you, that it ends around, what is the ending point of mesoblastic stage? 1.5 month. 1.5 month of pregnancy. In the first 1.5 month of pregnancy, it will stop. Then, now there is no one to produce blood cells. So, only liver and spleen will produce blood cells from the, the second trimester. Okay. Or we can say after the, it also, it is starting around 5th week. It is starting around 5th week. That means before 1 month, I am talking about before first month, we have 1 week, 2nd week, 3rd week and 4th week, right? And when 4th week ended, we said 1 month is complete. Okay. At the 2nd week, mesoblastic stage starts. At the 2nd week, mesoblastic stage starts. Now 1 month is completed. Now we come to 2nd month. In 2nd month, remember, 2nd month is also having 4 weeks. So, first month had 4 weeks, we said this is the 4th week. So, 2nd month we are starting with the 5th week. 5th week, 6th week, 7th week, 8th week. In the 5th week of pregnancy, I said that hepatic stage is going to start. At the 5th week of pregnancy, also mesoblastic stage is going on because it will end at 11th week. Okay. Now, because it will end at 11th week of pregnancy, if you are not understanding this right now, once we complete all the 3 stages, I will be showing you how to, just conceptualize this. Just now I am just summarizing this. Okay. So don't worry if you are not understanding this concept right now. Once we have completed all the 3 stages, again I will be coming back to this and then we'll be going through this again. So what I'm trying to say, at 5th week of pregnancy, mesoblastic stage is going on. Also at 5th week of pregnancy, hepatic stage starts, right? So at 5th week of pregnancy, 2 stages are going on. First stage is mesoblastic stage and second stage is hepatic stage. When will mesoblastic stage end? This is 9th week, this is 10th week, this is 11th week. Now we have entered into the 3rd month. So this is the 3rd month, weeks of the 3rd month, right? 9th week, 10th week, 11th week. Okay. Now, in the 11th week, mesoblastic stage will end. So mesoblastic stage has ended here. Now, what is the only stage of the hemopoiesis which will enter into the second trimester of pregnancy? Right, that is the 13th week. In 12th week also, liver will enter. In 13th week also, liver will enter. Right, but after 11th week, till 11th week, from the 2nd week to the 11th week, we have 2 stages going on. First, from 2nd week to 4th week, there was only 1 stage that was going on, right? From the 5th week to the 11th week, we had 2 stages. What are 2 stages? Mesoblastic stage, hepatic stage. Now, from the 12th week to around, you can say, 5th month, from the 12th week to the 5th month I am talking, we have only 1, that is hepatic stage, right? So in whole second trimester, in the 4th month, that is around from starting of the 12th week, starting of the 13th week, you can say 4th month, 5th month, only hepatic stage is going on. So that's why I have written that hepatic stage is very important in the second trimester of pregnancy, because it is the only stage, or we can say liver is the only site which is going to produce the blood cells. That's why it is a very important stage of hemopoiesis in second trimester of pregnancy. Now, what I told you, that the end point is once the baby is born. So when the baby is born, liver is going to stop this hemopoiesis, right? What if after the birth of the newborn still hemopoiesis is continued in liver? Then that hemopoiesis, it is abnormal. That hemopoiesis is abnormal. If the hepatic stage of hemopoiesis, or if hepatic hemopoiesis does not cease after the birth and continues in the liver, then that hemopoiesis, guys, it is abnormal, right? So we have completed here the hepatic stage of hemopoiesis. Now we'll be moving to the next stage of hemopoiesis and the last stage of hemopoiesis, that is medullary hemopoiesis. Now we will move to the last stage of hemopoiesis, that is medullary hemopoiesis. Now, one thing that we should remember here is, okay, so first, whenever we talk about hemopoiesis, we talk about the site of hemopoiesis. So, the site is obviously the medullary cavity of the bone, right? So, it occurs in the medullary cavity of the bone. Now, what happens is, so now let's talk about the duration, right? The medullary hemopoiesis starts around, so its starting point is 5th month of pregnancy. Its starting point is 5th month of pregnancy, right? That you should remember. Now what happens? At the 5th month of pregnancy, the formation of bones is complete, right? At the 5th month of pregnancy, in the fetus, the formation of bones is complete. Now, once the formation of bones is complete, that means there is medullary cavity inside the bone. If there is medullary cavity, then there is bone marrow, right? There is bone marrow. So, at the 5th month of pregnancy, as soon as the formation of bone gets completed, the bone marrow becomes hematopoietic. The bone marrow attains that hematopoietic property, right? So, it starts producing blood cells. Now, from the 5th month of pregnancy to the 9th month of pregnancy, you guys should remember, it is very important that the medullary hemopoiesis is going to produce WBCs and platelets. It is going to produce WBCs and platelets. RBCs it is not going to produce, right? Then after that, from 9th month of pregnancy to birth and throughout the life, what is going to be produced? All the things they are going to be produced. That means WBCs will be produced, RBCs will be produced, and platelets will also be produced. Okay, so this is a very important thing in medullary hemopoiesis. That medullary hemopoiesis, first of all, its duration, it starts from 5th month of pregnancy, right? It is its starting point, and it ends it ends when the person dies. So it continues till death. But we know that basically at 20 to 30 years of age, in the long bones, the bone marrow becomes yellow bone marrow. So only in sternum, pelvic girdle, pectoral girdle, ribs, vertebra, right? Spinous process of vertebra. There is the bone marrow which is present. Red bone marrow is present, and it will continue producing the blood cells, right? So that is very important that you should be knowing. Okay, because we have already covered bone marrow, so we know much about medullary hemopoiesis. So why the name medullary is given? Because it is occurring in the medullary cavity. What is present in medullary cavity? Bone marrow is present. Okay, so in the bone marrow, basically this is occurring. Right, you should be knowing this thing. So here we have covered the site, we have covered the duration. So I think there is a need to explain duration again. Starting point is 5th month of pregnancy. That means in the 5th month of pregnancy, medullary hemopoiesis will start. Hepatic stage of hemopoiesis was at peak in 5th month of pregnancy, right? So from 5th month of pregnancy to 9th month of pregnancy, I said medullary hemopoiesis or medullary stage of hemopoiesis, it is going to produce only WBCs. It is going to produce only WBCs and platelets. So who is going to produce RBCs? Hepatic hemopoiesis, hepatic stage, because hepatic stage it continues even from 5th month to 9th month, right? And from 5th month to 9th month, medullary hemopoiesis is producing WBCs and platelets. So hepatic stage, liver will produce more of RBCs, right? So basically erythropoietic activity, erythropoietic means RBC production activity during the 5th month and to the 9th month of pregnancy, it is confined to or it is given to liver. While WBCs and platelets, they are being produced by medullary hemopoiesis. Okay, so and after 9th month of pregnancy, during birth life, it is medullary hemopoiesis is going to produce WBCs, RBCs and platelets, and at birth, remember at birth, hepatic hemopoiesis stops. Hepatic hemopoiesis stops. But if hepatic hemopoiesis continues even after birth, then that is abnormal, right? So there is a line that I want to write is that extra medullary hemopoiesis, that extramedullary hemopoiesis after birth is abnormal. It is abnormal, right? Extramedullary means medullary cavity के बाहर किसी भी organ में अगर liver में, spleen में hemopoiesis हो रहा है, then that is abnormal when after birth, right? But in certain conditions जब RBC production capability body की बहुत कम हो जाती है, तो उस time पर birth के बाद भी liver can become hematopoietic once again, and that is not abnormal, that is physiological. That is to compensate the shortage of RBCs, right? In fact, we also talked that yellow bone marrow can convert back into red bone marrow, right? So that is also to compensate the shortage of RBCs. So here we have completed all the 3 stages of hemopoiesis. What I want is go back to the starting point of the video lecture, watch them again because they are very important, right? So now we'll be taking a look at the durations of all the stages of hemopoiesis that we have talked about till now, right? So here I have written counting till 36, right? All the counting from 1 to 36 represents basically the weeks in pregnancy, right? So there are 9 months in pregnancy, so how many weeks? 9 into 4, it is 36 weeks, because 1 month is having 4 weeks, so we have taken 9 months will be having 36 weeks, right? Now I will be marking certain important landmarks in this chart that I have drawn here. Okay, so first landmark is 2nd week of pregnancy, right? So from the 2nd week of pregnancy, we know what kind of stage is starting. Mesoblastic stage of hemopoiesis is starting. Okay, then I am going to mark 5th week of pregnancy. So from the 5th week of pregnancy, tell me what kind of stage is starting. Okay, let me mark it with a different color, right? So from the 5th week of pregnancy, which stage is starting? The hepatic stage is starting, right? Then at the 11th week of pregnancy, we have assumed that one stage is ending, that is mesoblastic stage, it is ending, so I am putting a cross here. Okay, then we know at 5th month of pregnancy, so let me label months as well. This is the 1st month, right? And from 5th week to 8th week, this is the 2nd month. From 9th week to 12th week, this is the 3rd month. From 13th to 16th, this will be the 4th month. And from 17th to 20th, I can say this is the 5th month. Okay, so during the 5th month, there is hepatic stage of hemopoiesis will be at its peak. So I am writing peak here, right? So hepatic stage of hemopoiesis will be at its peak during the 5th month, right? Then at the 36th week, hepatic stage will end, right? Okay, so at the 5th month of pregnancy also one stage is starting. What is that stage? It is, so at the 5th month I can say that the medullary stage is starting. Okay, and medullary stage never ends, right? So the mesoblastic stage, it continues from the 2nd week to 11th week. The hepatic stage continues from the 5th week. Hepatic stage is continuing from the 5th week to 30th week, and from 31 to 36 as well. So this is hepatic stage. This is hepatic stage. It is continuing. Okay. This is mesoblastic stage. Then what about medullary stage? Medullary stage I have drawn. Don't get confused between black MS and this one. This is mesoblastic. The blue one is mesoblastic. I am just labeling it here. That the blue one is mesoblastic stage, right? And the black one is hepatic stage. Okay. So the hepatic stage, it is starting from, okay, hepatic stage, you have done medullary stage. Okay, so medullary stage will start from the 5th month. It will continue till death. Okay, So now I hope you are very much clear about the duration. This is a very easy chart that we have drawn here. Okay, I have tried to conceptualize all the duration concepts of the stages of hemopoiesis that we have studied. Okay, so now something which is very important. From second week to fifth week. So from second week to fifth week, what stage is going on? Only mesoblastic stage. Okay, this is MBS, means mesoblastic stage is going on. Or let me just write it from blue only, because we are covering that from blue. Mesoblastic stage is going on. Then from 5th week of pregnancy to 11th week of pregnancy, only between landmarks we will be talking about. From 5th week of pregnancy to 11th week of pregnancy, which stage is going on? Mesoblastic stage is going on, and plus hepatic stage is also going on. Clear? Then from 11th week of pregnancy to 5th month, from 11th week of pregnancy to 5th month, which stage is going on? This has ended, mesoblastic stage has ended. Okay, so here I am putting a cross over the mesoblastic stage, right? Hepatic stage is continuous, so we will write hepatic stage. Okay, and medullary stage has started, so MDS means medullary stage, right? Then from 5th month, I will just erasing this, now you guys know. From 5th month, here it is the 5th month, to the 36th week, that means 9th month. What all stages? That means this is also covered and this is also covered. What is going on? Hepatic stage is also going on and medullary stage is also going on. But remember, in both these, here, in this, from the 11th week to the 20th week, when medullary stage has started only at 5th month. Okay, so hepatic stage is going to only produce one thing. That means the hepatic stage is going to do WBC production, it is going to do RBC production, it is going to produce platelets as well. So this will be done by hepatic stage. Medullary stage is going to start only at 5th month. Okay, so before the 5th month also let us put a landmark. So this is between 11th week and 4th month. Here, there is no medullary stage here. Okay, only hepatic stage. So from the 11th week to this 4th month, hepatic stage is going on. It is producing all these three things. Clear? Very clear, I think. Then here 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, we have medullary stage plus we are having hepatic stage. Now in this remember, hepatic stage is going to produce what all things? Hepatic stage is going to produce RBCs, right? RBCs. And medullary stage, it is going to produce WBCs and platelets, right? Here also hepatic stage is going to produce RBCs, while medullary stage is going to produce WBCs and platelets. Clear? Now we have done all the durations. What I want is that you should see this lecture 2 or 3 times in order to like crystal clear your concepts. Okay, make notes while seeing the lecture. Clear? Now once we have done this, I will be showing you a graph that obviously is present in standard textbooks. Okay, we'll just clarify the graph of stages of hemopoiesis. Now we will move to the graph which shows all the 3 stages, the duration of all the 3 stages of hemopoiesis, right? So first I will tell you how the graph is designed. On the x-axis we have plotted the month of pregnancy. So there are 9 months of pregnancy, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. And here we have plotted percentage hematopoietic activity. Percentage hematopoietic activity. Okay, that means what all in what locations of hemopoiesis hematopoietic activity is there. Hematopoietic activity is the activity or the capability to produce blood cells, right? So that is there. Now we know 0, that means birth is not there. Okay, so what happens at 100? That 100 means maximum capability. So in the mesoblastic stage, this blue line shows the mesoblastic stage. So what is happening in the mesoblastic stage? From the it starts from the 2nd week. Okay, it is starting from the 2nd week of pregnancy. So here you can see I have, this is the second week only. Okay, this is the second week of pregnancy where this is corresponding. So you have not to just start from the y-axis. Idhar mat bana dena, right? Because this indicates 0. Right? Make it little apart, like I have just drawn it from here. Okay, so this makes at the second week of pregnancy it is going to start, and it is going to end where? Just before the arousal or the starting of the second month. Right? So here I have ended this. This is the mesoplastic stage because it ends around at 11th or 12th week, right? And we know that it is going to end here. 1 to 1.5 months we talked about, right? Mesoplastic stage continues for 1 to 1.5 months. Then after that, this red line shows hepatic hemopoiesis, right? Hepatic stage of hemopoiesis. So this is hepatic stage, right? And hepatic stage, as we talked about, that it starts from the 5th week. So first month ends at 4th week. Then after first month we have 5th week. So this is the 5th week, right? From the 5th week it is arising. It is going to hepatic stage, and this is the hepatic stage. At 5th month, hepatic stage goes at its peak. So this is peak, and this peak corresponds to 100. Right, so this is the peak. At 5th month there is the peak of hepatic hemopoiesis. Then it ends at the 9th month. Okay. Then we have at the 5th month another hemopoiesis starts, that is medullary hemopoiesis, and medullary hemopoiesis continues for life. Okay. So this is medullary hemopoiesis. Medullary stage. Okay. So I think this graph is very clear. Now in hepatic stage of hemopoiesis also we are talking about liver and spleen. So here in this red line I have shown only the activity of liver. In certain textbooks you will find spleen's activity also designed, so that you can mention it like it starts from second and end here. Okay, so that in this manner you can show the activity of spleen. Okay, like this. So this is the spleen. However, if you show spleen's activity or not, it will be equal, right? Because spleen is showing very minor activity in the contribution of hemopoiesis. Okay. So in this lecture, we have completed the stages of hemopoiesis. We have talked about the duration and sites. Okay. So what I want is that you should 1 to 2 times watch this lecture once again, so that you can understand the concepts very crystal clear. And after that, read the textbook, whatever textbook that you are following. Okay. Also, I will be uploading a different separate video on what textbook you can study in physiology and how to approach physiology. Okay. Now, in here we have ended the first part of hemopoiesis. In the next part, we'll be talking about the steps of hemopoiesis. Okay. So, thank you.